Hello, in this lecture we will be discussing the VLOOKUP. Now, VLOOKUP is one of the important formulas in Excel. What is VLOOKUP? VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup and is part of a group of functions that I would like to call lookup functions. A lookup function is sole purpose is to pull in information from a table of database on a unique identifier, which I will refer to as ID. Now, before we proceed, anytime you want to apply any formulas in Excel, the first thing you have to do is to what? Insert your equals to sign before you what? Write out the formula you want to use or you want to apply. Now let's apply our formula now. Equals to VLOOKUP, VLOOKUP, that means we have to look for our what? Lookup value, table array, column index number, range underscore lookup. Now we are being given our what? Employee ID here, pay, and the amount each of these employee earn either monthly or annually in dollars. Now we are looking for this what? This column, that's what? First name and last name. Where we are to look for this what? This information from this data set now. The employee, the last name and the first name. How do we get all this first name and the last name from this data set now? Now we are looking for the what? Lookup value. Our lookup value will be what? Will be this employee ID. Now the employee ID, comma, table array. This is the table. That means this employee with ID 1100608, we should look for what? We should look for his first name from this what? Data set. Now hold your shift key, arrow right, arrow down. Now comma. Now they say column underscore index underscore number. That means which column are we looking for in this data set? Now we have our first name on the what? Third column, that's 3, comma. Now range lookup. Now it said true said approximate match, false said exact match. That means we want exact name for this what? For this first name, and we want exact first name of this what? Employee ID 1100608. Now we can also use 0 or what? Or use true. Now let's use 0. Close your what? Close the parenthesis. Click on enter. Now the first name is what? Is John. Can we see we are progressing now? Now the first name here is John. Likewise the first name here is what? Is John. Now to be looking for it one after the other, you can see it's kind of taxi. Now how do we do it? There's another way we can what? You can get all this first name and the last name at the same time. Now let's look for the last name first. Now to look for the last name now, we will apply the formula again. Equals to VLOOKUP. We will still use the same employee ID, comma, the table array. That's our in this data set. That hold your shift key, arrow right, arrow down, comma. Now column index. Now our last name is on which column? That's column 2, comma, 0. Close the bracket, click on enter. Now do. Now we've gotten the first name and the last name of this employee ID 1100608 with pay $84,289. Now to be looking for this first name one after the other is kind of taxi, and the last name one after the other is kind of taxi. How do we do it? There's another way around we can do it. Now let's clean everything that is in this cell, and let's clean everything that is in this cell too. Now instead of we doing it one after the other like this, it's kind of taxi like I said earlier on. Now let's clean everything that is in this cell. Now we've cleaned everything now in that cell, and in this cell we've cleaned everything now. Now let's apply our formula again. VLOOKUP. Now this is our lookup value. Now this is our lookup value now. There's when you look at your keyboard now, your system keyboard now. On your keyboard, you will see F and some keys F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6 and so on. Now the F4 now, if you press your F4, if depending on the system, depending on your setting of your system, if you press F4, is used for, if you press F4, you use it to fix this G4 that's on the screen now. But if you press the F4 key and if it's not coming up, you can press your Fn key and F4. Now, since we don't want, and if we fix this G4, if we fix G4 as a whole now, that means we want this anything that is in this cell to repeat all through in the rest of the cell. Now, but that's not what we want. Let's just fix the what? The G4. The G alone, not the G4. Now, comma. Now, followed by what? The table array. Shift Control, arrow right, arrow down. Now let's fix the whole of this now, the table array now. That means where we will be picking our what? Our data from is from the what? Is from this table array. You apply your Fn key and your what? F4. If depending on your system, if you use the what? F4 key and you can't fix this, and you will see one key on your keyboard, that's the Fn. Now you press the Fn and F4, it what? It will fix the you will use it for fixing of the table array, comma. Now the next thing here is what? The column underscore index underscore number. Now the column underscore index underscore number, that's in the first name is on which column now? Column 3. Don't forget I said earlier that what? You can use the true or what? Or 0. Close the bracket. Now click on enter. You can see now we've done for John. But now if I double click here now, if I extend it to this side, now it's bringing back what? John, because they are on what? Different. John is on the what? Is for the first name, and the last name, and if you look at the last name here now, is not what? Is not John, is Doe. Now let's do for the last name now. For the last name now, if you look at the last name is on the what? On this, on column 2. Now, and the first name is on the what? Column 3. Now, where we have this what? Last name now, and our last name here is column 2. Let's change this column, let's change this 3 to 2. Now, let's click on enter. Can we see what? We get the exact last name here and the first name here. The first name here is John, and our first name here is what? Is John. The last name here is Doe, and our last name here is what? Is Doe. Now we've gotten the what? The first name and the last name for this employee ID 110608. Now, since when we've getting for this first name and last name, the way we get it now, we can use this to get for the rest of this what? Of this cell. Now, hold your shift key, arrow right. Now once you are right now, this small box here, double click it now, it will do for the rest of them. Now it seems there's an error here. Now there's an error in this second, and for this employee ID 253057. What's wrong? Let's check where the error is from. VLOOKUP G5B. Okay, now I've seen the error. The error is from the employee ID. Now if you look at this place now, the employee ID is what? 253072, and here is what? 253057. This is where the mistake from. Now let me correct this mistake now. 253 is 0. 72. Now you can see now once the employee ID is correct, it has what? The first name and the last name is what? Is correct now. Now that's how to what? To get your what? Your first name, or to use your VLOOKUP once you have what? Large or what? Data set. Now let's look at another example now. Now look at this example now. We are given the employee ID here, the last name and the first name. Now we are given the employee ID, the pay that each of the employee would earn either monthly or annually. Now what are we told to look for here? The first name, the last name, the city. Now look at the second data set we have been given now. Now if you look at the second data set now that we are being given now, we are being given what? Employee ID, city. That means where each of these what? Each of these employees ID are from is what? City, state. Employee ID with 110608 is from what? Columbus, and this is the state. Now let's go back to the question now. Now we are told to look for the what? We are told to look for the first name and the last name, city. Now how do we do this now? Now to get the first name now, we will still apply our VLOOKUP again, equals to VLOOKUP open bracket. What's our lookup value? This is our lookup value, employee ID 110608. Don't forget, let's comma table array, that means from this table. Now don't make any. Now if you look at in this question now, they said first name, last name. That means we are not using, okay. Now our lookup value is what? Is this employee ID, that's what? G20, that's 110608. Now where is the from where is our table array? We are using this table array. Hold your shift key, arrow right, arrow down, comma. Now column index, that means on which column do we have this what? This first name. If you look at this place now, this is the first column, second column and third column. On which column do we have the first name now? That's the third column, comma, followed by what? I said is either you use true or use 0. Now close the bracket now, click on enter. Now the first name here is what? Is John. Now the first name here is what? Is John. That means we are progressing. Now let's look for the last name now, equals to VLOOKUP open bracket. Now our lookup value is this, comma, table array. Don't forget, this is your table array. Shift control arrow right, arrow down, comma, column index. We have our last name to be what? To be on the what? Second column, comma, 0. Close the bracket, click on enter. That's what? That's it for the last name of employee ID 110608. Now we are now looking for the city. Now let's look for the city that John Doe is from now. Equals to VLOOKUP ID, comma. Now we don't have city here, we don't have state here. What we have here in this data set is what? Employee ID, last name and the first name. Now let's scroll down. Now in this data set now we have what? Employee ID, city and state. Now we are looking for our what? We will use this table and data set for our what? For our table array. Now hold your shift key, arrow right, arrow down, that's our table array. Now We are looking on which column is the what? Is the city. City is on what? Second column. That's column 2, comma, 0, close the bracket, click on enter. That means John Doe is from what? Which city now? Is from Columbus. That's where John Doe is from. Now, like I said earlier, I said doing and checking or looking for this first name, last name, or this city one after the other is kind of very taxing. Now, let's come back to this formula now. If you look at this our formula bar now, we will see. Now, I said instead of you should be getting this column one after the other, we can just get it once like we did the previous ones. Now, let's come here. Now, click click on FN F4 on your keyboard. Now, we are only fixing the what? The G and not the O G20. We fix the G alone. Now, highlight the table array now. Highlight the table array. That's fix it. Now, we are done. Click on enter. With this now, you can just click on it here, double click here, it will do for the rest. Now, reason why, sorry, we have an error. Now, let me check where the error is from. Okay, this data set here, sorry, I didn't correct this data set. Now, this data set here now, the employee ID here is 253057. The employee ID here is 253072. This is where the error is from. Employee ID 253072. Now, click on enter. Can you see now? That's correct it now. Now, let's do for the last name too. Now, come to our formula bar here. This is our formula bar. Now, fix the G alone. FN F4. Highlight the table array. FN F4. Now, we are done. Click on enter. Okay. Now, bring your cursor here. Just double click or drag it down. Is either you double click it here or drag it down from here. Now, it will do for the rest now. Now, let's do the same thing for the city too. Now, let's fix for the city. Let's fix this. Let's fix the table array. Table array FN F4, and if it is F4 is functioning on your keyboard, you can use the F4 alone too, depending on the setting of your system. Now, once you are done, click on enter. Now, double click from here. Bring your cursor here, double click it or drag it down. Now, let's expand this cell a bit. Now, we're getting the what? The first name, last name, and the city for these employee IDs. Now, the employee ID from for 250072, now that end $137,670,000, and the is from where? It's from Chicago. That's the city that this employee ID is from. Now, same thing for what? John Smith, Peter Pan, Brett Farrell, John Elway, and so on and so forth. Now, let's try. Hello, let's look at this third example before we round up this class. If you look at this question, it's quite different from the two other questions we will be solving before. Now, as a data analyst, if you come across this kind of a question, there are two ways you can use to solve it. Is either you just look for, now we are being given the sales agent quantity, revenue, price, customers. Now these are the sales agents, from sales agent A to sales agent L. These are the quantities, revenue that they've made, the prices of the item they sold, and the customer name they sold it to. Now we are told to what? To find the sales agent, the price, and find price and also customer. In this kind of situation, you can just make use of your VLOOKUP, look for the sales agent, look for the price, look for the customer. As a data analyst, you can also make use of your data validation to make it easier and also apply your what? VLOOKUP. Now, we haven't talked about the data validation, but in the subsequent lesson, we'll be discussing the data validation in full, where we'll be making use of the data validation in full details and also use and try some examples, apply the data validation to it. Now, let's apply our data validation to this sales agent. Now, to select our sales agent now, come to data. When you click on data, you see data validation. Now, when you get to data validation, click on data validation, you see data validation. Now, we have any value. These are the lists. We have any value, number, decimal list, and date, time, text, length, custom. Now we'll be using our list. Now the source where we actually want to what? Apply our data validation. Now that's the sales agent, from sales agent A to sales agent L. Now click on OK. Now if you look at this place now, we've applied our what? Data validation. In a situation whereby you want to clear your data validation, now come back here, click on what? Clear circle. Now come back here, click on data validation. Now this is the data validation we applied to the sales agent. Now if you come here now, if you click on clear all, you see it has actually what? Cleared the data validation. Click on OK, it has gone. That's how to clear data validation. But let's apply it back now. Come back here, click on data validation. Now come to list. Now the source we want to use now, that's from sales agent A, shift control arrow down, click on OK. Now we've applied our what? Data validation. Now let's start with agent A now. Now find price. Let's apply our VLOOKUP formula, equals to VLOOKUP now lookup value, that's what we are actually looking for. That's agent A, comma. Now table array, this is our table array from this region. Now this region is our table array. This data set, this is our table array that we are using now. Shift control arrow down, arrow right, comma, column index. Now where is this? Where are we going to look for our price? Where? This column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Now price is on column 4, comma. Now click on this first, close the bracket, click on enter. Can you see now? The is for sales agent A. Now the price of the item he sold is what? 20. Now let's look for the customer he sold it to. Equals to VLOOKUP, open bracket, lookup value, that's sales agent A, still on sales agent A, comma. Now shift control arrow down, arrow right, comma, now now customer, that's on column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's on column 5, comma, close the bracket, click on enter. That's buyer. Can you see now? Sales agent A sold what? When 5 quantity at what? At 20 naira. That's the price to what? To customer buyer. Now let me just Let me just highlight everything, come to home. Now centralize everything now. Okay, since our work is fine now. Now this is agent A sold what? Sold 5 quantity to what? To buyer at what? 20 naira each. Now I want to look for sales agent B now. Can you see now? That's the advantage of the what? Of data validation. The data validation can let me, it can just allow me to search for any agent I want to what? Actually look for in this kind of situation. Now if I want to look for what? Agent D now. Can you see now? Bumi sold what? Price of what? Sold his own price at rate of what? 35 naira to what? Agent D sold is sold how many quantity? Let's check the quantities now. Agent D 4 quantity at what? At 35 naira each to what? To Bumi. Now let's check other agents now. Agent K now. Can you see now? 70 naira each to what? To Bola. How many units of quantity he or she sold? Sorry, Bola sold now. Sold 9 what? 9 quantity. That's how to what? Make use of your data validation and what? And apply your VLOOKUP. In the subsequent lesson, we'll be looking at other examples where we'll be working on the complex data than this. Now, if you don't, in a situation whereby you didn't apply your data validation, you just want to apply your VLOOKUP all through direct. Now let's apply this second way. Now in a situation whereby you didn't apply your data validation, you just want to apply your VLOOKUP all through now. Now these are the 3 things you want to look for now. Now let me bring them out. Select agent, followed by find customers, and find price, find customers. Now let's start with this now. Now come here, shift control arrow down. Now control C, copy. Now transpose this now. Now we've transposed this. Now instead of you to be applying your data validation, be searching for it, now we'll bring everything out. Now these are the things we are looking for: agent A, agent B, agent C, agent D, agent E, agent up to agent L. Now let's find the price of the items they sold. Now bring your cursor back here, click on your escape button. Now that has gone. Now let's apply our VLOOKUP formula. VLOOKUP, click on it. Now what are we actually looking for? Agent A, comma. Now our table array, shift control arrow down, arrow right, comma. Now column index. What's our column index? Where actually do we have the price? That this column 1, 2, 3, 4. We have price on column 4, comma. Now you can make, so let's use false, close the bracket, click on enter. Can you see we actually get the same answer now? Now let's look for VLOOKUP agent A, comma. Now table array, shift control arrow down, arrow right, comma. Now column index, find customer, that's on column 5, comma, close the bracket, click on enter. That's buyer. Now let me centralize the 3 of them now. Now we've done that now. Now instead of you to be looking for it one after the other, now you can just, let me just come here, let me just fix the table array now. since it's from the same table, you can press, depending on the setting of your keyboard, you can press Fn F4 or just press F4 now to fix it. Now click on enter. Now just double click or draw your cursor down to L. Now can you see now agent A actually sold and agent A price. Now if you look at now, let's check. Sorry, agent A for buyer, that was what agent A sold 5 quantity at what, at rate of 20 naira each. Can you see now? Agent B, that was what, that's 25 naira. That was the price agent B was selling his own particular item. Now agent C, that was 30 naira. Agent D 35 naira. Agent E 40 naira, and so on and so forth. Now let's move for the customer. Now come back here. Now let's fix this table array. Now like I said earlier, I said is either you press Fn and F4 or just press F4 on your keyboard now to fix it. Now click on enter. Come back here, bring your cursor here, drag it down. Can you see now? We've actually done for what? Bukola. And sorry, for we've actually find for agent A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on and so forth. So you can see agent A sold what for buyer at rate of what, 20 naira. Agent B 25 naira for Bankole. Agent C 30 naira for Bosse. Agent D 35 naira for Bumi. Agent E 40 naira for Bidemi. Agent F 45 naira for Bukola. Agent G 50 naira for Buki. Agent H 55 naira for Biola. Agent I 60 naira for Bioye. Agent J 65 naira for Binkpe. Agent K 70 naira for Bola. Agent L 75 naira. And so on and so forth. Now thank you so much. I believe you are able to learn one or two things in this lesson. In the next lesson we'll be looking at H lookup and the X lookup. Now thank you. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also like my videos. Also click on the notification button so that when I drop a new video you get notified. Let me just beautify my work here before we go. Control 1. Let me apply border. Inner, outside. Click on OK. Can you see? I think it's perfect now. Now, till the next class, where we'll be discussing the H lookup and also the X lookup. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.